And we are back here once again with another episode of the MSK show. And this is going to be episode 117. And in this episode of the MSK show, I will be having a conversation with music god CJ Plain. What's up, man? How are you doing?
I am awesome, brother. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Before we get to talking about anything that I wanted to ask you today, I was actually pretty mistaken about this, and I did know. Do you have a YouTube channel, actually?
I do.
Okay, so you are a content creator. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so how long have you been doing YouTube, actually?
It is my second year. I think April is going to be my third year. The end of April is going to be the beginning of my third year.
Wow. Okay, you've been doing content creation for 3 years. How do you like it?
I like it. I haven't been really serious at it the past 7 or 8 months because I'm going to school and doing some other things. But, for something that started as sort of a joke, it took off, and I'm waiting on some new equipment to come so that the camera that I have is really jinky. And it makes it really hard. Sometimes that works really well. And then other times, like today, it wants to be a pain in the butt and makes it impossible. So I actually just kind of bankrupted myself and bought a really nice Sony Z71.
Yeah, makes sense.
That, and hated the price tag on it. I mean, the damn thing's almost $800, but
yeah.
if you're going to be serious about it, you got to invest. And once that comes in, then we're going to get back to doing it real serious. And I got a couple other ideas. We're going to kind of split the channel into like 2 different channels. Because right now I'm doing a lot of everything on one channel. And I'm going to kind of go back to doing just music and podcasting on this one. And then the stuff that I've been doing with my son, we're going to split that into a separate channel and make it to where it's actually on a PG channel the way it needs to be, because my channel is not PG. So,
what are you discussing?
I mean, we talk about music mostly, but we get into pop culture, we get into movies, we get into pretty much anything that the running joke is I'll have anybody on there that I can con into coming on. And
I told people this. I don't even care if we disagree. Just showing people that you can have conversations is all that matters, because
exactly
by extension of how life is, by how people grow up, by how people have life experiences, you're not going to agree on everything anyway. And that shouldn't be a controversial thing to say. I should agree with everything you say because we have different lives and different experiences. It's just how that works, But if we do agree, it's good. Fine too. I don't care.
Yeah. I always tell the story of my grandfather, man. My grandfather is 97 years old, still runs his farm every single day. His best friend for many years before he died was a guy next door. He owned the farm next to us. His name was Walter. Now, my grandfather worked for 35 years for General Motors. He was a Kennedy Democrat, union member, Walter, opposite end of the spectrum. He was a gun-toting NRA, John Wayne loving. Walter drove a Ford. Grandpa was General Motors to the core. They would razz on each other. You can't park that Ford in my yard. You can't park that Chevy in my yard. And back and forth, just bickering, kind of like grumpy old men in the movie Grumpy Old Men. But when our corn or beans came in, 4:45 in the morning, Walter would be the first one there to help us in the field. And when Walter's wheat come in, when Walter's stuff come in, Grandpa would be the first one there with coffee, 5 o'clock in the morning, ready to go help Walter, because that's what you did. You lived out in the country, you were farmers, and you had to work together or you weren't going to survive. Like it was, you're talking fields that were 400, 500, 600 acres. It took multiple people to get this going, and you kind of bartered. We walked the field for the young brothers in our area growing up. They grew all of the potatoes. Now, we didn't get paid cash wise, but what we did get is anytime we needed potatoes, we just show up at the Young's farm and go down to the barn, grab some potatoes, and we drive the truck down there and throw 2 50-pound bags of potatoes in there, and we could get potatoes anytime we wanted for free all year long, so we never had to buy potatoes. Same with Walter, Walter had a big garden. We had a big garden. So we would kind of work together. We'd grow this amount of stuff and he'd grow this amount of stuff, and we'd trade back and forth. So it was just what you did, you worked together and you helped each other, and you could disagree on things, but at the end of the day, it wasn't really that serious. Like, I look at it this way, especially when it comes to politics. There are certain things I am not going to look past for a person, if they're a terrible person, regardless of politics. But politically, I don't have to agree with you politically, because at the end of the day, maybe you vote over here and I vote over here, or vice versa. But we like the same music. We both like the same sports. We maybe like the same sports teams. We both maybe love comic books. We love books. We love pizza. We love the same kind of beer. Why am I not going to be friends with somebody that I have 50 things in common with simply because I have one thing that I don't have in common with? It's really not that serious. I don't care who you vote for, as long as you're a decent human being. And the media, it really blows it out of proportion. Like what you see on the media of these people that are the fringe.
That's why their ratings have gone down. People understand there's a reason why their ratings have gone down, because people have now started to realize how much they lie to people. They just objectively lie, and they hope to weaponize people against each other. It's absolutely disgusting. I was surprised people are just now figuring out what they did. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Years of doing this.
Well, 70% of the country is in the middle.
What's crazy is your generation is the generation that still actually watches them, because they actually did studies on this. People in your generation are the only people that watch them. Younger people that are in my generation and younger now, and the other one after us, do not watch legacy news at all. That's why their ratings have plummeted. But keep in mind, they have their own. They can only blame themselves. How about not lie to people? That's a good start. How about just be truthful?
I mean, at the end of the day, there's 3 major things that people miss when it comes to this cycle of news and politics and all of that. One, people aren't stupid for the most part. And you can only bullshit them for so long before they're going to catch on. And that you saw that this cycle, to where whether you agree or disagree with the man, I'm neither here nor there. What you saw was a lot of people that would normally be Democrat voters were simply fed up with the Democrat Party lying to them, dragging their feet, and not doing what they've promised to do for decades. And they finally hit a wall and said, look, what have we got to lose? And you saw a massive amount of Hispanic voters, Black voters, Asian voters, and even in the case of what we saw here in Michigan, you saw Muslim voters voting Republican. You saw in Pennsylvania, for the first time in the history of this country, 166,000 Amish came out to vote. The Amish have never, ever voted or gotten involved in politics. So you have screwed the pooch when you've pissed off a group of people that have historically never participated in politics. Not just a few of them, 166,000 of them registered and voted. So that the Democrat Party has to step back and they have to look at this as a lesson in we screwed up here. And if we don't fix this, it's not going to get better. Because the reality of it is this, and I say this to the Republicans and Democrats alike, Kamala couldn't beat what is potentially the worst candidate in the history of this country. With all of his baggage, all of his indictments, all of this going on, she couldn't beat this man. Now they're saying she'll just run again in 4 years. The candidate for the Republicans in 4 years is going to be J.D. Vance. And he will pick Tulsi Gabbard as his vice president. And if she couldn't beat Donald Trump, there's no way in hell she's beating J.D. Vance.
They think it might be AOC for 2028, which is that's automatically an L in it. So you might as well not even run if you're picking her. You might as well just give up.
If you put anyone that is fringe against J.D. Vance, he's gonna run him through a wood chipper. He is a young Ronald Reagan. He's articulate.
Yeah, you know why too? Because Trump has so much power now. Anyone he says is good enough, people will just vote for now. He has that much power now.
There's the bigger picture that people are missing. Vance, he is well spoken. He doesn't let stuff affect him. He's even tempered. He doesn't fly off the handle. He doesn't say crazy stuff. And take into account, he's married to a woman from India. He has mixed children. He's a Buddhist. Tulsi Gabbard is Samoan and Hawaiian military background. She's also a Buddhist. So you can't play the race card as normal against the Republicans in the next cycle. You got essentially a hillbilly who's married to an Indian woman with mixed children. You have a Buddhist female vice president candidate who's a military veteran that is now appointed for the director of national intelligence. You have an even-keeled guy who can't be baited into saying crazy things because Vance has proven he's not going to fly off the handle. He's not going to say off-the-wall crazy stuff. And it's going to be the same problem they had with Reagan in 80 and 84. They tried to go after Reagan, and the man was untouchable. Everything you said to him, water off a duck, man. He had a comeback. He was bulletproof when it come to baiting him into saying something terrible. Like, he could turn anything into a joke. He could turn anything into a saying. In that presidential, in the 84 cycle, when he went against Mondale, Mondale gave this whole speech about Reagan's age without pointing out Reagan's age.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing that ended up happening this time around with what you said earlier makes a lot of sense, because a lot of Democrats have lost their way. What are they constantly pushing? Abortion. Well, if a lot of the country is somewhat religious on not just being a Christian, you're a Muslim or whatever, a lot of religious people do not stand for abortion. It's just something they don't like or agree with at all in general. So if that's one of their main pushing points, is you got to be like, I forgot the stance. I think it's pro-life or anti-life or something like that. You're gonna lose. You're just going to lose at that point,
And the other thing people forget, historically in this country, people vote with their wallet. It's that simple. If you do good and people are making money and are financially well off, you win. If they're not, you lose.
Lying to people saying that the economy was good. You probably have friends that say, I can't afford food or groceries. And you have people in the White House lying and saying the economy is better than ever. It's just objectively a lie. It's just lying,
Look, Clinton, look at everything Clinton did. Clinton got elected to 2 terms, even with everything that was happening, because the economy was good. It was flowing. People were making money. Shit was stable. So Clinton got reelected. People voted with their wallet instead of stressing, oh, he had an affair, he got a, blowjob in the Oval Office, blah, blah, blah. that wasn't the main concern. It was people were voting this. It's the same with Reagan. All the stuff that Reagan did. Reagan was not a good man. I mean, he was, the Iran-Contra scandal and all that other stuff, but times were good. People were getting rich. Middle class exploded. We got home computers. We got video game systems. Look at the technology and the movies and the things that came during Reagan's 8 years. People voted with their wallet. It was the same with Clinton. It was the same with Bush. Times were pretty decent under that. And under Bush Sr., times were not good. And he lost after 4 years. It's that simple. And people overlook the importance of this. People are not stupid. You can only bullshit people for so long. And the third thing is plain and simple, people are getting sick of the whole race card thing.
One thing you brought up earlier that I agree with was that now at this point, the Republicans, or you can say the conservative right now, they won. And I tell them this right now, if you listen to this show, you have one shot to prove to people they gave you a chance again. You need to make it count. Every year has to count. There has to be a lot of change. They're not going to get this chance ever again. Trump is a once-in-a-lifetime person for a lot of people. He's the guy that a lot of people go like, he'll tell me like it is, and I want to be told like it is. You don't have him anymore after these 4 years. It's over. The next time, you have to make it count these 4 years, but if not, then what else do you have? Because then the trust will be broken after that. They'll be like, well, I'll just rather go back to the Democratic Party then. At least they know they're lying,
Yeah. Put it this way. I wholeheartedly agree that, and I know nobody's been able to do it. Probably nobody will be able to do it. But excuse my language. Somebody needs to step up and Trump needs to shut the fuck up most of the time. I agree. Recently,
he shouldn't have talked about that visa issue. I don't think he knows that much about it to the point where he gives an authoritative opinion on it. I like what he says. I agree with what he says, but the visa, he wants to bring American jobs over. It's like that immigration problem is definitely. I see what a lot of people are talking about. If you start having a lot of immigrants come over and taking American jobs, well, then that's no different than having the border open. Then
it's really there's a lot of finesse that goes into the immigration thing. Okay. And the crazy thing is a lot of people don't understand there are so many different kinds of visas. There are so many different things that go into that process. It's not a simple, I'm just going to fill a paper out and I'll get a visa. No, there's
even for being real literal, like green cards are like the lowest term of a visa. You have an H-1B, you have a K-9, you have a K-7, you have a K-1, you have a K-5. There's literally 30 kinds of visas that you can get. And, we're one of the few countries that do not have reciprocal with a lot of other countries. I can fly to the Philippines. All I need is a passport. For a Filipino to come here, they've got to go through the whole visa process to even visit. And to me, that's crazy. Like, why can I fly to your country and all I need is a passport, which is the same thing I need to go to Mexico or Canada, but you literally have to go through this whole process of filling out tons of paperwork and spending hundreds of dollars just to come here for whatever. And I get the whole, this and that and whatnot and what the processes are, but they've turned the immigration process into very much like they have the tax process. It's just, it's bloated, it's cumbersome, it's overly complicated for a lot of people. And most people don't understand it, which is why when people talk about it, they get it wrong because they don't bother to read it. They don't bother to research it. They don't bother to try to understand it. They just, I heard this on TikTok, or I heard this on Facebook, or I heard, it's like anything. Come on, you got to read, you got to research, you got to understand. Yeah, the immigration process is very complicated.
Yeah, and it's expensive. Yeah. It's expensive.
That's why you can tell. That's why a lot of people break in the country. They don't want to go through it. But you can't do that either because you're actually breaking the law, which I don't agree with.
And that's the thing. Like, the law is the law. I get that. But again, in defense of in defense of the immigration thing, for years, decades, going all the way back to the 40s and the 50s, there has always been a sort of unspoken, there's always sort of been this unspoken thing that seasonal workers were kind of looked past because whether Americans want to admit it or not, without Hispanic workers, without Asian workers, our farms, our agriculture in this country, it collapses. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and white people, you can debate me on this. I will debate anyone, anytime on this. Ain't none of you lily white ass fucking people going out in these fields and picking lettuce. You ain't picking tomatoes. You ain't picking apples. You just ain't. You might say, oh, I will do it. You'll last 2 days, bro. And you'll get smoked. I grew up on a farm with Hispanic workers. They will work you under the fucking table, okay? Like they come in to do a job, they are organized, they get the shit done, and they go home. They don't screw around. And white people, it just ain't built for it. Like, it's okay to admit that there are some jobs we just ain't built for. It is what it is. You gotta.
The thing I would say to that is, I don't see why we can't have what you're saying and they just come over legally. They can still be legal citizens as they're doing that,
I mean,
because I think the argument is the process for them is too slow.
Yeah,
and at that point, exactly. I think the process needs to be fixed. It's not the people, because I do agree. A lot of them come over. They're not really bad people. They're not. They just
95% of them are amazing people. But again, you're gonna have. It's
the outliers that are the killers and murderers and the drug cartels. They make it worse. I do agree with that.
Yeah. And it's the same with politics. Again, 70%, 78% of Americans, they're in the middle of the road. It's only the fringe of the two sides that
you're
are
right. A lot of people don't know this. Political elections, votes have gone up over the years. A lot of people just don't care about politics like that. A lot of people really don't. Like, this probably is the last three elections we've had, the 2016, 2021, this one have been the most voted for elections because more people are paying attention now. Look at how long it took to get to this point to get people to care about elections. Long time. People don't even care about elections in their own cities. That's how much they don't care about politics. They just don't care. As long as life is good, like I said earlier, they don't give a fuck, honestly.
I mean, it's sad because, again, another thing that people miss is, everybody wants to talk about, well, what is Trump going to do? What is this person going to do? And they're missing the bigger picture of, look, the old saying, charity starts at home. The president can only do so much. The president is a figurehead. Congress and the House of Reps, they have the real power. They make the laws. They make the appropriations committees. They tell you how the money's spent. But everything starts like, look, if you want to improve this country, you start in your own town. You fix city council. You fix the mayor. You fix how the money is spent.
Voting against Prop 30, 36, 39, what the whole $900 stealing law we had around here. I'm in California. People voted against that. Good. That's how you get change. You vote in for good change in your area first.
And California politics, man, are.
California's trash. I know. I live here.
I don't understand it. Like it's. You would think eventually, much like this political cycle, people are just going to get fed up with the bullshit at some point and just swing back the opposite way. But it hasn't happened. And I just don't understand the mentality of people that, you get kicked over and over and over and over, and you just keep laying on the ground, getting kicked more. And it's like, how many more taxes? How many more how much more violent crime? How much more theft? How much more loss of property and loss of everything are you going to put up with? I mean, you've literally hit a point where you can't even have a freaking gas lawnmower or a gas leaf blower now, and it's like, look, I'm not mowing my lawn with any more that needs to be plugged in. I'm not blowing my leaves with something that needs a battery. Like you're gonna have to write me a fine or whatever, because I'm old fashioned. I still got my 1986 Craftsman riding lawnmower I bought from Sears when I was in high school. It ain't going anywhere. It still runs. If you tell me I got to have an electric lawnmower, we're going to have one or two solutions. You're either going to write me a fine and I'm going to mow it with what I want, or it just ain't going to get mowed. And then you're going to write me a fine for it not being mowed. But I am not buying an electric lawnmower, man. I'm not buying an electric car. I'm just not,
you gotta
like,
go and crank it up and start doing it.
It's just so ridiculous. Like I get the electric thing for certain things, but it's so asinine. And I mean, you're in California, I'm in Michigan. Our governor is sort of the female version of your governor.
I know. She's terrible.
I can't wait for the final 2 years to get her out of here, man, because she is just.
That's what people need to focus on, voting out your bad politicians in your own cities.
Whitmer has rode 2 major propositions to victory. The first time around, she had the marijuana legalization thing, and that, pushed her through. The second one, she had the abortion one. So she rode both of those to victory. Of course, it didn't help that both of the candidates the Republicans put up were just terrible people all around. But, it just is what it is. I got a feeling I know who the next person the Democrats are going to run here, and God help us if she gets elected, because she's Whitmer on steroids, basically. I'm really praying and hoping that this is not our next, person, but you make the best of it either way. I mean,
that's how you always got to do it. Yeah. The last 4 years under Biden has been absolutely terrible for a lot of people, but you're still alive. You still made it work. That's what you have to do in life.
And that's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, I come home to these 4 walls. And within these 4 walls, I got my 13-year-old son. I got my disabled mother that I'm the full-time caretaker for. That's my major concern at the end of the day. They're safe. They're happy. They're well taken care of. Everything else is good. I mean, I can deal with the external stuff, but as long as they're safe and not hungry, not we have a roof over our head, I can't complain. Am I rich? No. But you know what? I got a 4-bedroom house. I built my own recording studio in my house. I've got more toys than any one person probably legally should be able to own. I really can't complain. I mean, my son, I love him to death. He's the greatest kid ever. He's so spoiled. Yeah, he is. But you know what? He never argues. He never throws temper tantrums. He never gives me a hard time. Hey, can you help me with the dishes? Absolutely. He gets right up and does it. Can you bring me the laundry? Gets right up and does it. Can you bring me a...
Before you go, people are going to ask you then, where's the mom? Are you with the mom?
No. So I was married to his mom for 13 years. She had
I don't want to pry. I was just,
I
read your profile. You were divorced. You're divorced, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you meet this lady?
Do what?
How did you meet this lady? Do you meet her at a bar or something?
I actually met her on the website Plenty of Fish.
No!
Yeah.
DJ! Oh my God!
So I met her and she was really, I never had an issue. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she didn't go out and party, she didn't go to bars. She worked every day, she came home. And at the end of by 13 years, we had little squabbles here and there, but nothing that really constituted anything that a normal couple doesn't have. No major blowouts. There was no major issues. And then she came home from work one night and she said something. And for some reason, every bell in my head just went ding, 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 like this bitch is on some bullshit. And I said, you know what? I don't know why. I went down to Xfinity. I got their home security package. I put cameras in the house. And about 2 weeks after that, I went to bed one night, woke up the next morning, police at the door. And cop was like, what happened last night? And I said, nothing. He said, are you sure? And I said, I'm 100% positive. The cop said, well, your wife filed a police report and said you raped her. My wife obviously has lost her mind. The cop said, do you have any proof? I said, actually, I do. I said, can I grab my phone? And he said, sure. So I grabbed the phone off the bed end table. And I said, well, what time did this happen? He said, 12:15. To the replay, Jeeves. And I pulled it up and took it back to midnight. And he stood there watching it on my phone on the app. He said, well, you're in the living room. I said, yeah, imagine that. Kind of hard to rape somebody from a different room, ain't it? And she was having an affair, and that was her way of trying to get custody. Is she thought I would get arrested.
So she didn't know about. She thought lying about you for the most, basically, one of the top 5 worst things you could do to someone.
There's a legal term for it. It's called the silver bullet defense. You accuse the husband of either domestic violence or rape, and then the judge will normally 95% of the time side with the woman, award custody and possession of the house. The problem she had is this house is owned by my mother, so she wouldn't have got the house no kind of way, but she wanted custody of our son. Now, she didn't know about the cameras. That was her downfall. I didn't tell her that I put the cameras in the house. So when she filed the report, she filed the report with the mindset of it was going to be her word against mine. So she showed up at the house as the cops were there, got out of the van, stood in the yard screaming at me, blah, blah, blah. And the cops like, calm down. And she's like, well, he raped me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dumb bitch. There's cameras in the house. And she's like, what? There's cameras in the house. She goes, no, there's not. And I was like, oh, yeah, there is. I put them there 2 weeks ago. Well, why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you were on some bullshit, and obviously you were on some bullshit, and I caught you. So
I just want to ask, was the lady white, Mexican, Asian?
She's white.
Of course, because they always are. Crazy white crazy women are just saying there's a stereotype there for a reason. I'm just saying.
They're
all meant to be deranged.
But yeah, I went to court. She already had the protection order because of the allegation she made. So I went about a week later. I got the PPO thrown out because once she was under oath, she had to admit that there was no history of domestic violence and that there was no rape because I had proof to present to the judge that it didn't happen. So at that point, the judge knew she was lying, and it just turned into a whole. But I ended up with sole custody of my son. She has no visitation. She has
what made her hate you so much? She wanted to accuse you of rape. That's fucking nuts. Like that little allegation, if you walked outside to like your supermarket, people could like want to beat you up for something you didn't do.
It really, I'm going to be honest, it didn't have anything to do with any hatred or anything. It had to do with, there's literally a legal term for it. It's called the silver bullet defense. And there are literally defense attorneys that will tell women to do 2 things. 1, claim domestic violence or rape because it's very hard to disprove unless you have video, because it's their word against yours, and the court's almost always going to side with the woman. So they don't even really have to present proof. They just have to say it. And the allegation becomes, silver. The second thing is they will tell women to contact all of the defense attorneys in town and ask for the free consultation. Because what happens is when a woman goes to a lawyer and they have that 1 hour or that 30-minute consultation, if the man goes to them after that, it's a conflict of interest. That lawyer cannot speak to the man. So what it does is it dirties the pool and makes it impossible for the guys to find lawyers. So men are at an automatic disadvantage when it comes to. Now, the mistake she made with me is I got put in foster care when I was 14. I stayed in foster care, and then I had a custody battle for my oldest children later. So I have dealt with juvenile and probate law my entire life. So even though I'm not a lawyer, I'm extremely well versed in probate and juvenile law. So she went in this with the mentality of, I'll just get a lawyer. You won't be able to get one, and my lawyer will beat you. Well, wrong. I could easily pass the bar right now for probate and juvenile law if I were to take it because of my history. And her lawyer found that out very quickly, that I was not your typical pro se representative that goes into the normal divorce, not understanding or knowing the law. So I started dragging her lawyer basically. And by the time we hit the discovery part, I went to her lawyer and I said, look, I don't give a shit about the car, her 401k, the life insurance policy. I don't give a shit about any of the money. I want sole custody of my son. He is not going to be involved in that circus she has going on for her life. The affair, running off to Ohio, not having her own house, getting her car repossessed. My son's not going to get caught up in all of that. I want sole custody. She can have all the money. She can have the car, the stereo, the computers, all of that. Money's money. I can make money, but I cannot replace the welfare of my child. And the lawyer was like, well, the judge is going to award 50-50. And I said, no, he's not. Because one of two things is going to happen. You're going to give me sole custody. She's going to take the money and walk away. Or when we hit the next phase, when we go to court, I'm going to put her, the fuckboy she had the affair with, her children, fuckboy's twin brother, and everyone else on that stand, and I'm dragging all their asses through barbed wire. So she can give me what I want and walk away, or it's going to get brutal when we go to court. And her attorney was like, well, I don't like that threat. No, it's not a threat. It's a simple fact. You already know what my background is. You've already discovered that I have the knowledge and the willpower to do this. And when it comes to my child, I'm not going to play. So
even just from your scenario alone, if people just heard what you just said, they would not want to get married or be involved with women. I'm pretty sure you read studies about why men aren't picking women anymore as far as like wanting to get married or have children with them. And it's a lot of their fault too, but that's another reason why eventually all of that could happen, and the court is just going to side with the woman because it's a woman.
It all starts with the fact that 37 states in this country right now have what's known as no-fault divorce.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yep, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing. Yeah.
Going into court right out of the gate, it doesn't matter who did what. The fact that she had an affair, the fact that she accused me of all of this horrible shit was completely irrelevant. I could not even present her affair because it doesn't matter. It's a no-fault thing. Wait, she blew up her marriage of 14 years. She had an affair. She lied. She accused me of horrible, horrible shit. And it has no bearing on the actual outcome. And I was like, that's insane. The one thing that California has right is their divorce laws. The fact that you absolutely can present, affair. You can present alienation of affection. You can present, domestic violence, and you have to, under California law, you have to present a reason for a divorce. And you absolutely, in every state, if you want a divorce, you absolutely should have to have a reason. The fact that you can go to any courthouse and just say, you know what, I don't want to be married anymore. give me a divorce. And you don't have to give a reason for that. That's insane. It makes zero sense. And the fact that 37 states thought this was a good idea, it's insane. Why do you not have to give a reason?
Because I learned in life with women, if a woman says something, they just believe them, even if they're just objective. Yeah. Because they think women are like these saints that can't do anything wrong, to the point where they'll just believe on anything. I swear there has to be a reason, because if it's not, I don't know what it is. Yeah.
And the truth is, that's why men are walking away. That's why men are becoming passport bros. That's why men are going to the Philippines, they're going to Thailand, they're going to China, they're going to Vietnam, they're going to Laos to get wives who are their traditional wives. They don't believe in divorce. The Philippines, they don't have divorces in the Philippines. Over there, you marry, you're married, bro. Like, they don't give up. They don't walk the fuck away unless you're just a badass person. Like, if you beat them, they might walk away. But even then, they normally won't walk away. Like, I know women in the Philippines that, they're married to guys that are horrible human beings, but they stay because that's what their society is. They don't believe in divorce. And I mean, that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what side you're coming from. But it's just, that's what men want. And it's not, you will hear these people say, oh, it's misogynistic and it's just men wanting control. No, it's really not, bro. We just want a wife that's not going to the club every Friday night. We want a wife that we don't constantly have to worry about how many men are in their phone or how many, and then you pass a dumbass law like, oh, you can't go through your spouse's phone now. It's a felony. What the, like, I can't even look at my wife's phone now. Like, well, why are you concerned about it? Because if she's doing some shady shit, I should fucking be able to get proof of that.
It's like when a guy is
concerned about his fair play. Like, if you're a man and you're doing some shady shit, then your woman should absolutely be able to get proof of that.
Yeah, like they want guys to sit there and just be like cucks or something, but they get mad at guys.
That's exactly.
Yeah. And then they want to get mad at guys when they stand up for themselves. Like, no, I understand. Like, there are some guys that are straight up pieces of shit. Don't get me wrong, but guys get called out on that regardless. People will call out men regardless of the situation. They don't call out women the same way. I tell people this: unless you literally don't use your eyes and ears, you will not see women get called out the same way. They don't. It just, people objectively don't see things because they just live in this bubble world where apparently if you call out men, it's acceptable, but if you call out women, you're just a misogynist. And it's like, that's the reason why no one talks about the problems then, because you start getting labeled bullshit. Yeah, I hate women because I don't like women just being objectively whores. That means I hate women. That's crazy. Right. That's insane. That's insanity.
And it works both ways. That's the whole thing of is the bottom line is we have lost our way as the whole world has lost its collective mind. And we have hit a point where even having a simple conversation now turns into, oh, you can't say this, or you can't say that. And I'm like, me personally, like, look, I come from
the time period. People just are saying a lot of worse things now than they do.
I come from the era of Sam Kinison and Andrew Dice Clay. I come from the era of George Carlin and Bill Murray. And I come from the era of rub some dirt on it, drink some water, and keep walking. Like, we had to be tough because we didn't have a choice, man. Like, our mamas, our dads, they were brutal. And if they weren't brutal, they just left us the fuck alone. Like, I spent more time home alone than I ever spent with a parent at home. I raised myself. My dad remarried. My dad raised me. Now, my dad is a ignorant, racist piece of shit. Sadly, it took me a long time to understand that what he was teaching us growing up was wrong. I grew up in a town of 800 people in farm country in the thumb of Michigan. And it was only when I got put in foster care in Flint and actually got to meet black people and got to go to a school with black kids and whatnot that I learned and understood that everything this man had taught me since I was a child was a lie. It was propaganda. It was bullshit. And it shocked me, but at the same time, you know, I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for those teachers.
I was talking to a friend earlier before the show. Hard times and going through, like, let's say, struggles, right? They make your life interesting. Just pointing out the people that you meet in life that were, and I don't fault them for this. I don't fault parents for being like wealthy and giving their kids a great life. They don't have struggles. I actually like that. I think that's actually a great thing. But in life, when you don't go through struggles, you don't really know how it's not that you won't know certain things. It's more like your perspective on things change, your mindset changes, your eyes become a lot more open. Honestly, going through struggles makes your life exciting. My opinion, honestly. If you don't go through struggles in life, your life seems kind of boring. Wouldn't it be kind of boring going through no struggles? That's kind of boring.
Well, that's the thing. It's not necessarily about struggles so much. It's just seeing the world from outside of your bubble.
Yeah.
If you never leave the state of California, if you never leave the state of Michigan, if you never leave the United States, if you don't travel, you will never understand what life is, how privileged we really are. The poorest people in this country are millionaires compared to other places I've been. And it was only when I went to India, when I went to the Philippines, when I went to Brazil and saw the favelas that I understood, holy shit. Like, when I went to Brazil, I was living in a 1-bedroom trailer. It was nothing to brag about. But I got to Brazil and went to the favelas, and I realized there are literally people living in makeshift huts made out of cardboard and tin that don't have running water.
Crazy, man. That's why it blows my mind when people say the country's bad. And I tell people this, the country has had its ups and downs as far as like the creation of it, how people integrated here. Obviously, and people acknowledge those things for the most part, and we'd always agree and disagree on how we did certain things to be in America. But objectively speaking, we have a great country. We have the best country in the entire world. Actually, I know that.
I will challenge anyone.
You know?
I would challenge anyone.
And the reason why we know that is because in Europe, they'll jail you for social media posts. Don't have that here because we have freedom of speech here. You know? Imagine going on Twitter. Imagine going on Twitter and you live in Europe and you say, I think Taylor Swift sucks ass. And the police come to your house and go, sir, did you tweet Taylor Swift sucks ass? Yeah. Take it down or you go to jail. Do you know how stupid that sounds? Yeah, that happens. Yeah, it's not even stupid. England. That's the reality in England right now. Yeah. You could tweet, I fucking hate your guts.
Yeah.
And if it offends you, you can call the cops on me. That's just really gay.
I would challenge anybody. If you think this country is bad, if you think this country is nearly as bad as you think it is, I've got 3 places right now. I would take you to the slum, I would take you to Manila, to the slums. I would take you to Brazil, to the favelas, and I would take you to Bombay, India, to what's known as Basat. And when you see those areas, you will fucking cry. You will fly back to this country. You will kiss the ground when you land and be thankful for being homeless in this country, because even being homeless in this country
is better.
Dude,
we give our homeless people free shit. They don't give their homeless people anything.
You just think about it this way. Think about it this way. So I saw a story a couple months ago. The homeless problem in Honolulu is growing. Okay, that's a horrible thing. Nobody should be homeless. But it's fucking Honolulu. Could you imagine being homeless in Hawaii? Like,
ooh, sounds like hell.
You know what I'm saying? Like, being homeless in Alaska is bad. Maine, bad. Minnesota, bad. You're homeless on a beach next to the ocean. Come on, bro. Like even a penthouse in Bombay probably isn't going to be as nice or have the view of you sleeping on a tent on a beach in Honolulu.
That's, you know what's crazy, man? That's why it blows my mind that women say they have no rights here, when in reality, this is the best country for women. It is. Actually,
I mean,
just recently, the Taliban ruled that women can't even talk to each other or look at other women. You can't. I think a basic human right is at least I could be able to look at you. You know, I think that's a basic thing humans could ask for. Over there, you're actually treated like less than a human being over there in the Taliban. If women think that it's so bad here, go live over there. Literally, go leave here, go live over there, and tell me how bad it is. And you know what's crazy? You won't be coming back. They don't allow you to leave.
I mean, look at.
I'm just saying, when women say they have no rights here, they're just talking mad retarded.
Let's take WWE. How many events have WWE had in Saudi Arabia? Yet, women in Saudi Arabia cannot train as professional wrestlers. The WWE wrestlers have to wear special clothing while they're wrestling in Saudi Arabia due to decency laws and all of that thing. You know, they can't wear the normal Liv Morgan can't go dressed out into that ring as Liv Morgan. She has to wear long pants and long sleeves because their decency laws don't allow that. That's insane. You're telling a woman she can't train as a race car driver. She can't train as a wrestler. She can't train as an athlete unless she's representing the Olympic team. That's insane. You know, it's the religion of love. Where's the love? I'm not seeing the love. If you tell a woman she has to cover her face, she can't train in the profession of her choice, and she has to be escorted by a man at all times, I'm not seeing the love in that, bro. Like I'm not feeling that, you know? I got a very good friend who's Muslim. I love him to death. He said, you should become Muslim. Okay, tell me about it. Gives me the whole spiel. He goes, and we do not eat bacon. Ooh, sorry, homie, lost me at the no bacon thing. Like, I'm sorry, I ain't giving up bacon for anything.
Yeah, that's their thing. They don't eat bacon.
Yeah,
yep.
Look,
I love bacon. I'm not giving that up for
bacon
anybody.
And ham, bro. I'm not giving up bacon and ham. I'm just not. I'll give up pork chops. I'll give up pork steak. You know, all of that bacon and ham. That's off the table. It ain't going nowhere. Like, and if that's your thing, that's your thing. Cool, go with it. I will never make fun of you or disagree with you. I'm just letting you know that I love a good BLT, and I ain't giving that up for nobody. And I don't believe that God would want me to give that up for anybody, you know. So hate me if you want. I don't care. That's just the bottom line. Like, I just, you know, but it's, you know, life is about disagreeing, being able to tell a joke, and then moving on. You know, you think back to the 80s when they did the roasts with Red Fox and Wanda Page and Richard Pryor and Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. If you look at those old roasts with Nipsey Russell, you know, they trashed each other, but they loved each other. I mean, they were, you know, the way that Red Fox would talk about Don Rickles, and then Don Rickles would turn around and give it right back to him. But those two loved each other all the way to the grave. You know, it was just what they did. It was, you know, when you think about an era of a time when we had not only the Jeffersons, but we had All in the Family. We had Good Times. We had the Cosbys. We had In the Heat of the Night. We had Punky Brewster and, you know, Silver Spoons, you know, long before he was ever Carlton. Alfonso Rivera was on Silver Spoons as the little orphan kid that Ricky Schroeder's family kind of took in, you know.
The thing I wanted to ask you was, since everyone knows you based your own music, do you remember how you got into music as a kid? Did you just hear a song on the radio and you were in love with it?
So my mom and dad divorced when I was 2. My
Jeez,
dad,
already starting life off on a bad foot. Holy fuck.
my dad got custody. He was a truck driver. My dad is still a truck driver. He's in
I
his
imagine they make a lot of money.
53 years as a truck driver.
He ain't switching over to them electric fucking trucks they're talking about now,
no.
are they?
He still drives a 1987 Peterbilt. Big old, old school. But my dad was not married. We did not own a house. We lived in that truck. So this was the 70s. We didn't have computers. There were no cell phones. There were no flat screen TVs, video games. I had 2 things to entertain me in the passenger seat of that truck. I had books and I had music, which is why now I read 700 words a minute. I have an IQ of 143, and there's probably nothing musically that I don't know, such as your hat. I wanted to say that's an awesome hat. I love backwards. I think Eric is awesome.
Oh, I was at it. You know what's crazy? I actually never listened. I heard one of his songs. His type of music is not something I would listen to. I'm not a fan of that kind of music. It has to be the right song for me to get into it. I'm not the fan of like, I'm gonna yell into the mic. I just can't do it. I feel like it's so cringe. But no, like, I think with music, what made music so special was that when I was a bit younger, you had to kind of go out of your way to get it, like a CD player, waiting to buy a CD and have a few songs on there. Even when you bought the CD, you could go through an entire album and finding some gems in there that weren't even like the mainstream popular songs based around artists. Now, music is so easily accessible to the point where I just go on YouTube and just download a song that I want. Just put it on my phone. I can just do it right now. I think the reason why music has gotten as stale as it is because they're just really the hardship of getting it is over. You can get it whenever you want to now.
It's still, the same problems exist now that did then. What's changed is the mediums. So record labels historically, even back in the 60s and the 70s, they would find an artist. That artist would either be extremely successful or they would fail. And based on that, they would find 100 other artists that were very similar, and they would handpick from that group. Okay, these ones are going to follow in the footsteps of band A, become band C, D, and E. All the rest of these, we're going to let them make a record, but we're not going to promote it. We're going to put it on the shelf. We're going to bury it so that they cannot pollute the pool, so they can't, crowd the market. So it's called buying out contracts, essentially, or dumping contracts. And they did this historically through the 60s, the 70s, and even into the 80s. When hair metal took off, for example, you had Motley Crue, you had Guns N' Roses, you had LA Guns, you had Bon Jovi was a band. When Bon Jovi was in their heyday, Geffen Records found 50 bands that sounded like Bon Jovi, and they signed these bands, gave them a little bit of money, let them make records, but then buried those records so that these bands could not compete with the golden child, which was Bon Jovi. They're doing the same thing now with Taylor Swift, with Sabrina Carpenter, and all of these artists. They're giving them just a small taste of success, but for the most part, they will not allow them to reach the level that Taylor's on, because Taylor is the chosen one. She's the golden child. So it's a controlled process. Even all of the money they've put behind Miley Cyrus, they've put behind Ariana Grande, they've put behind Sabrina Carpenter, they've put behind all of these artists, none of them have achieved the success that Taylor has. They play essentially the same music. They run.
I guess the only other lady is like, I guess, Beyonce. It's like the only other one you could probably be there.
But that's what I'm saying. There's the select ones at the top, and then there's everybody underneath it. And they give them just enough to keep their name in the news, but not enough to reach that upper level. And that's controlled by labels. That's controlled. There's very few artists that have broken that mold. Tom McDonald, whether you love the guy or hate the guy, has done something that no one has done before, which is refused to be signed by a label and not just made a ton of money off of streaming. Tom is selling physical CDs out of his house, and he's selling a lot of them. His last 3 records for physical copies, you go to hangovergang.com, whatever, .net, whatever the website is, and you can get, the signed CDs, yada, 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 all the merch. Tom has sold over 50,000 physical copies of his music.
Do you think it's more worth for artists to sell physical copies like CDs? You think it's a good observation to do?
Tom has proven that you can. Beyonce, when her last record came out, the country one, sold 31,000 physical copies. Tom McDonald sold 50. Out of his house. He doesn't have a label. He has him and Nova Rockefeller. They take every CD, they sign the CD, stick it in an envelope, and then they ship it out. Everything comes out of his living room. His mom, his dad, his sisters, all of them, his whole family works Hangover Gang. So Tom has proven that it can be done. Tyler, the Creator, has proven physical copies. Tyler sells a ton of physical copies of his record. Not a fan of Tyler, but you know what? I don't have to be a fan. If you're making money, that's the whole point of this game. You are one of the few that are actually making money. Because I'm telling you right now, as a musician, as a producer, as a fan of music, there are not a whole lot of people breaking even in this business. Okay, it's a really expensive hobby. Podcasting is the same thing. People think all podcasters make all this money. No, Joe Rogan makes money. Bert, whatever the hell his unfunny ass name is, makes money because they have Spotify and all of these people throwing money at them. But that's your upper 1%. 95% of podcasters, we don't see a dime. And what I've
been podcasting essentially since 2020. I always wanted to do it. I've seen people do it. I always wanted to do it, but I never started until StreamYard became a thing. And in 2020, and I've had many, I told you before in DMs, I've had many shows like this before, but this was just the final one that I settled on because I finally know how to do it. And I finally know how to do it the right way because I've had a lot of other shows. So I have one, which is what we're doing right now. And I have one for League. The one for League is about to hit 300, but 300 episodes come this year, obviously, when it's in the middle part. I used to think is a lot of people just say things because it's like you said earlier, they don't know enough because they only see the top 1%. So I think top 1% represents everybody, and it's like, oh, first time. I've just British to sell you. If I make money doing this, that would be great. But I don't do it to make money. I just do it because I just enjoy talking to people. You know?
It's what you do because you love it. Look, I do the YouTube thing. I've made a little bit of money on YouTube, but it is nothing compared to, people see Mr. Beast. They see the Paul brothers. They see Grumpy Cat and, these ones that are here and there, Angry Grandpa, Angry Grandma, whatnot. And you see them, oh, they're making this much money. Yeah, okay. And for every one of them, there's 10,000 other people that haven't seen a dime. In the 2 years that I've done YouTube, I've made $534 in 2 years because I chose I chose to work with copyrighted material doing reaction videos. The money goes to the artist. Now I've probably made 20 times that for the artist because, every time I got one video that's of a reaction of a Nightwish video, it's got 160,000 views. So I know that video made at least $8,000. I didn't see any of it. So I know Nightwish made at least $8,000 off my video. Congratulations. It really ain't about the money for me. It's just reacting to music that I love and upcoming music. And, it's the same with Chris Calico. Chris Calico has his channel. He's not making any money off his reaction videos because when he reacts to Shinedown, when he reacts to Tom McDonald, when he reacts to Jelly Roll, when he reacts to Pat Benatar or any of these artists, that money goes to the copyright holder. It's just automatic. So,
and it's very minimal too. Like it's like the money that you would get out of making content is ad revenue is not really a sustainable way of making income unless you're like I think what
it is
50,000 subs.
It is
minimum.
all about finding your niche, being good at it, dedicating yourself to it, and finding a fan base that will support you. Like I will tell you right now, as much as I'm not a K-pop fan, if you start a YouTube channel that is dedicated to BTS or Blackpink, their fan base will follow you like gangbusters. You will have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And as long as you're not showing copyrighted material in your videos, you're going to make an ass ton of money. You know, people like Perez Hilton, that's how they make money, is they don't show copyrighted content, but they talk about Paris Hilton. They talk about Nicole Richie. They talk about Brad Pitt. You know, they talk about people that people want to hear about, and it's just this normal news cycle, but people will watch it over and over and over again because they think they're learning something new. There's that anticipation of that little news bite that they might hear something new. They might hear about Paris getting a coffee here or having dinner here or driving this car. And I mean, you can make money if you find the right niche. Food reaction videos are really big right now. And that's the channel that I'm breaking off with my son, is we're going to be doing, you know, just finding weird drinks, weird teas, foods, go to different restaurants and just do reviews of the food. People love those videos and they make a ton of money. I have a buddy who does it here in Jackson where I live. Makes about
you're not wrong. I thought about reviewing like new fast food items and eating them. People like that. People do it. People generally like that stuff. Like I'm not gonna eat everything because I have certain taste buds. I'm not gonna try obviously everything new, but you know, because people like content creators that feel relatable to them as far as like certain real life aspects, and that's what life aspect people have. People go and try new fast food stuff, and they want to hear your opinion.
And it's more valuable to the companies themselves. Look, a company like Burger King, for example, they have the money to run ads in multiple markets, but those ads are expensive. They cost a ton of money. If you get one content creator with a good following that goes to Burger King and tries the new chili cheese chicken fries and gives a good review of it, and that's, you know, 600,000 views on YouTube, and what's that creator paid now? Couple $100 bucks in advertising versus millions of dollars for ad revenue on TV. Come on, market wise, of course they're getting in business with these people. That's why people are getting boxes of shit from Pringles. They're getting boxes of shit from Dick's Sports. They're getting boxes of shit from that cookie company. They're getting boxes of shit from Budweiser and whatnot because, you know, Budweiser or these homebrew batches or these liquor companies, Ryan Reynolds, the Aviator Gin. It is cheaper for Ryan to send out 50 or 100 of these small sampler kits and get millions of views across YouTube than it is for him to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars putting ads in magazines, newspapers, because people don't, like you said in the beginning, people aren't paying attention to the news. People don't watch TV that much now. Where are
the
people
generation that they want to pay attention to the news is not paying attention at all.
But
they don't know how to reach that demographic. They're on YouTube. They're on TikTok. They're on Twitter now.
Exactly.
Don't go to Blue Sky. No, guys, Blue Sky's not going to work. Just don't go over there. That place is trash.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. You get one good creator. It only takes one Mr. Beast saying, hey, these burgers are great. And that 2.7 million fans that Mr. Beast has, if only 1% of them go to that burger joint, what is 1% of 2.3 million? That's 23,000 customers. And if 23,000 customers come to your establishment, even if they spend $2, that's $50,000 in revenue. Now, what have you paid that creator? A free sample kit, or maybe $400 or $500, $1,000 maybe, unless it's somebody big, you know. So it's absolutely in the best interest of these companies to make branding deals the way they do. It's common sense, you know, when you do cost analysis at the end of the day, you know, and this is stuff that I never took into account until I started these classes, until I started doing YouTube of how to optimize, how to beat the algorithm, how to do the SEOs. I didn't understand any of that. And I still don't to a certain degree, but I'm learning that, you know what? You kind of got to pick your spot. Like, even doing music reaction videos, it started as a joke. 100% started as a joke. I watch music reaction videos and I see people that, for lack of a better word, I thought they were clowns. You know, you see the ones who they'll hear the song and they'll throw the headphones and they'll kick the chair over and all over the room. And you're like, okay, it's a good song, but it ain't throw a $350 pair of Dre Beats across the room good. You know, it ain't, you're just clowning at this point. You're acting a fool to get reactions. And all my buddies were like, you should start a channel because you know so much about music. Like, nobody wants to hear the old guy talk about obscure music. And, oh, you'd be surprised. So I started the channel. Just, all right, let's see. And I started talking about the stuff that I love. Australian music, punk music, and hip hop. And somebody said, you should react to Dimash. Who the fuck is Dimash? I didn't know who Dimash was. Oh, he's this kid from Kazakhstan, 7-octave vocal range. Okay, cool. Watch the video. Blown out of this world. A voice like no other voice I've ever heard in my life. Fan base. First video. 37,000 views within 24 hours. Oh, okay. By the end of that first year, when I hit that 12-month mark, I had 11,000 subscribers and 1 million views at the end of the first year.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I was like, well, holy shit, maybe people do want to hear the old guy talk about obscure music. And I've gotten a little broader with my musical taste. I've reacted to bands from Pakistan and Indonesia and Kazakhstan, and I do a lot of Japanese metal and a lot. I don't really do K-pop all that much just because it's kind of low-hanging fruit to me. Now I know for a fact that if I were to react to a BTS video, which would be completely original for me because I don't listen to K-pop, so it would be a completely authentic reaction, having never heard it before, I would get an ass ton of views from it. But at the same time, it's like I said, it's low-hanging fruit. It would be just the easy way to ramp the numbers up, and it wouldn't really be genuine to me. Like, genuine to me is me reacting to the stuff not only that I love, but also stuff that I haven't actually heard. You know, I see these people, you know, first time ever hearing California Love, and they're like 40 years old. And it's like, the fuck out of here. Like, how did you get to 40 and never hear California Love? It's been in a dozen movies. It's been everywhere. It was one of the biggest. There's no way that you hit 40 years old and never heard California Love. Okay. You just didn't. It's not authentic. You know, first time hearing Limp Bizkit, first time hearing, bro, come on, you know, first time hearing Run DMC, you know, and they try to make it authentic by saying, metalheads first time hearing Run DMC. Come on, bro. You didn't hear Walk This Way with Aerosmith and Run DMC. You didn't hear Rockbox. You didn't hear. How did you grow up? I grew up in a racist white family in a town of 800 people And I knew who the fuck Run DMC was before I ever heard Run DMC. I knew who KSR1 was before I ever heard KSR1. You know, I knew who NWA was before I ever heard NWA because they were on the news. You heard them, seen them in the newspaper. I knew who Two Live Crew was before I ever heard Two Live Crew because when they put that record out, it was in the news. PMRC, they want to ban the record. You know, Luke Skywalker, blah, blah, blah. I hadn't even heard the record. I didn't know what they sounded like. I just knew they were in Senate meetings and Tipper Gore wanted to ban them because of what they said. And it was only when I got to college, the first 4 days I was in college, I didn't have a college roommate. Fourth day I was there on the door, and I opened the door. There's this black kid standing there, and I was like, "What's up?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm your roommate." And I was like, "Okay, cool. You know, this is your area, and come in." And one of the big ass 80s style boom boxes, man. It damn thing is about 6 foot long and about 4 foot tall.
Oh my God.
He was, you know, he was your typical 80s hip hop head type of guy. He comes in, he sets the radio down, and he goes, "What kind of music you listen to?" And I'll listen to anything. He goes, "What do you know about Ice-T?" Who the fuck is Ice-T? Bam. What do you know about Public Enemy? Ain't no shit about Public Enemy. But I learned, and when I left college that year, shit, I was into the Beastie Boys, Ice-T, Public Enemy, X-Clan, Paris, all kinds of shit that I would have never heard otherwise. And much like being in foster care, life is about just opening your mind, traveling.
Music in general, like literally, you could be having the worst day. You just put your headphones on or earbuds, whatever people have now, Raycons, whatever. Music will make your entire day better than when it was, at least for the time period you're listening to music.
Music is like food.
When someone asked me, what would you deal like? Would you rather have the internet forever without music or music forever without the internet? It's like, well, I would always have to have music. I don't think I could live life without music. That would seem unfun, you know.
I've been asked the question: if you had to lose all of your 5 senses except for one, which one are you keeping? And automatically, I don't even have to think about it. I'm keeping my hearing. Well, why your hearing? Because I can be blind and still hear music. I can not taste food, still hear music. I can, all of my senses, I don't need to smell anything. Long as I have music to hear, I'm good. It's when you take away my ability to hear music, that's when I will go crazy, because music has literally been the driving force. I mean, if you look at my wall behind me, we got Prince, we got Iron Maiden, we have Bob Marley, we have Metallica, we have Pink Floyd, we have Judas Priest, we have AC/DC, we have the Goonies over here. You know, I'll listen to anything, and I love all music, and music is like food to me. You know, nobody wants to eat pizza for 6 months in a row. And
Thanks,
God bless.
I love pizza.
But I'm saying, like, God bless people that only like one genre of music. But I love music that breaks boundaries. That's why when I hear something like Aerosmith with Run DMC, when I hear something like Limp Bizkit with Method Man and Redman, when I hear Korn with Ice Cube, to me, you know, that's music to me, because it's breaking boundaries in music that have traditionally been set up, that labels have said you can't cross these boundaries, and these artists have said, you know what, screw those boundaries. Queen, favorite band, one of my favorite bands. Why? Because Queen broke the rules. Queen didn't play by any rules. They turned around and said, we're going to rock out and do Stone Cold Crazy. And then they turned around and did Bohemian Rhapsody. And then they turned around and did Best Friend. And then they turned around and did We Are the Champions, and followed it up immediately with We did We Will Rock You, and then followed it up immediately with We Are the Champions. You know, I love that. I love artists. I love Prince. Prince, probably number 2 all-time favorite artist. Why do I love Prince? Prince didn't play by any rules. Prince did Purple Rain. He did Let's Go Crazy. By the middle of the thing, he was doing Darlin' Nikki, and by the end of it, he was doing When Doves Cry. Now, 3 different genres on the same record. Let's Go Crazy is a straight out hard rock song, blazing guitar. Darling Nikki, by today's standards, would be a synthwave or an electronic pop electronica track. And then When Doves Cry, that's a simple pop song. You know, labels told Prince, you can't do that. You can't put all of these different genres on record. And Prince said, I can do whatever I want. I own the studio. I own the masters. I record it. I play all the instruments. Can't tell me what to do. It was the whole why he dropped his name and went to the, symbol thing. And he did it through his entire career. He did Pearls and Cream, I think it was, Pearls and Diamonds, which was a R&B record. And then immediately the next record did the Gold record, which was a hard rock record. And then did the Purple Experience, I think it was, which was, again, sort of a jazz record. I love that. I love artists that just say, skirt the rules. We're going to do what we want to do regardless. And then you have other bands at the same time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Rolling Stones, AC/DC, Metallica. They've been playing the same fucking song for 35 years, 50 years, 60 years, essentially. 3 notes. That's all it takes. AC/DC. Every AC/DC song essentially sounds the same. But you know what? Obviously, people want to hear that song over and over and over because here we are, 52 years into their career. They're still making records, still selling out stadiums. I don't like Taylor Swift, but you know what? She made $1 billion fucking last year on her music. I don't have to like it. I'm not selling out stadiums. I'm not making $1 billion. So who am I to talk?
Songs she has that I like. There's a few here and there, but I won't consider her my favorite. I think Mariah Carey better than her in every single way, if you're talking straight music wise.
I think Patti LaBelle is better than all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of these girls love Taylor Swift. It's like, come on, Taylor Swift and Mariah Carey in their prime are way different. Mariah Carey would destroy her. She absolutely obliterate. Lady Gaga was better than Taylor Swift in her prime. Lady Gaga has a ton of great songs. A lot of people still talk about Poker Face, Litter. Come on, like everyone knows what that song is.
Gaga's no joke.
She had a weird style too, but I think it worked. Like it's so weird. Like people say artists don't take any risks anymore. She did. She was just. She's a fucking lunatic,
Yeah.
That's the thing now. A lot of artists don't take any risks anymore. They feel it's very bland and vanilla. That rap style now, that mumble rap is just such trash. Who taught them how to do that? Terrible. Eminem tried coming back. Obviously, he's had his recent comebacks a little bit. Good Lord. Good God, man.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into M because I'm as a Detroit boy.
I forgot you guys are from the same place. Yeah. Holy shit.
Look, I'll be respectful in saying this. I'm not an M fan. I don't disrespect M, but M has never really said anything that affects me one way or another. Like
the one thing he said was really retarded was that he's like, I hate being white. It's like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you?
Look, I'm a purist when it comes to lyricism. And yes, Eminem can absolutely flow. Eminem can. But to me, it's a lot of times Eminem just sounds like he's rhyming a Dick and Jane book. He's just rhyming words for the sake of rhyming words. And yes, he can do it in triplets. He can do it in quadruplets. He can, staccato and all these other things. But he's not saying anything to me. Now, to me, KSR1, that's my goat. That he will always be the king. KSR1, 63 years old, still out here saying shit that makes me rewind 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Rakim makes me rewind. On the new front, the Locksmith makes me rewind. Vinnie Paz, Apathy, Chris Webby makes me rewind. Hobson makes me rewind. That's where I go hip hop wise. I want either something funny, something poignant, or I want something that's just so freaking outrageous that you're like, holy shit, did they just say that? Gmo Ski and Hobson both for that very reason. Hobson's one of them dudes. You never quite know what Hobson's going to say. Webby is that way. You never really know what Webby's going to say. Nems is a new one with the Bing Bong and the Fuck Your Life and the Don't Ever Disrespect Me videos. those are hilarious to me because this dude is like, he's just out here being disrespectful for the sake of being disrespectful. And who's going to challenge him? You know, the dude on the street who tried to step up to him, and then them stood up, and dude realized this is a 6'5", 350-pound Irish Puerto Rican. You might want to rethink trying to fight him, homie. Like, that's a bad combination of factors. 6'5", 350 pounds, Puerto Rican and Irish. That's somebody you might want to walk away from and just decide that, you know what? There are better fights in this world to pick, man. Like, you know, that's a big, I mean, that's pun on steroids, man. Like, that's, you know, I mean, sometimes you just got to walk the fuck away and let people have their fun and take it on the chin. You know, it just is what it is. But,
do you think bands will come back as big as they used to be, like they were back in the day? Because bands, huge thing, like Beatles, Boys, Nirvana, Bon Jovi. You know, you
not in the traditional sense. You're still going to see artists that sell out arenas. You're still going to see artists. It'll ebb and flow. It won't be sustained like before. You're seeing bands like Greta Van Fleet that, you know, they kind of ebb, then they go down a little bit, and they'll come back. You're seeing bands like Bad Omen, bands like Ghost, Baby Metal. Unfortunately, I can't stand Baby Metal. But, you know, they're Slipknot that, you know, they still sell out tours. They sell out arenas. You'll see it in pop a lot. You still got Pink, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, that, you know, still Jelly Roll. You know, let's talk about Jelly Roll. In 2005, I promoted a show in Little Rock, Arkansas with Haystack, Jelly Roll, Big Smo, and David Ray. They collectively at the time were known as CWB, Crazy White Boys. They were just rapping for the sake of rapping. Now, I told everyone in 2004, this big fat motherfucker is going to take over the rap world. Oh, it's just a fat guy from Nashville. He's never blah, blah, blah. The kid had too much personality. He was too real. He was likable in all the wrong ways, man. I said, this kid is going to take over. And I have been, since 2005, been telling people, it is not a question of if Jelly Roll is going to get famous, only when. It's going to take the right person at the right time to hear who he really is. Now, yes, he switched genres and went country as opposed to hip hop. It still raps a little bit. But I'm telling you right now, I was right 100%. Jelly is now the biggest name in the industry. He went from a kid who got out of federal prison, who was sleeping on David Ray's couch because he didn't own a home, couldn't rent an apartment because he was a felon, didn't have $20 in his pocket. He's now making $1 million a night. He's a felon. He's a federally charged felon. He had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to his lawyers for him to even go to Canada to tour, to go to England to tour. He couldn't leave the country because he was a federal felon. Couldn't get a passport. Now, there's ways around it if you're making that kind of money. But your average felon would never be able to do what Jelly's doing. And now Jelly is turning around. What's he doing? He's going into jails and he's talking to these guys. Look, don't make the mistakes I made. He's building recording studios in jails so that these guys can learn a skill set to use when they come out. He's putting money up for job programs. He's building, you know, he realized the mistakes he made in the past and now he's trying to fix it. And that's amazing to me. That's what life is about. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
We've all got a past. We've all done dumb shit. We've all done stupid stuff. We've all done stuff that we look back on and wish we could erase it. I wish I could erase everything that my dad taught me growing up, but I can't. All I can do is be a better person now, learn from that and understand that, look, everybody comes from somewhere. Not every story is the same. And there are those people that are either going to work for it or those people that are going to try to take it. Depending on where you're coming from, both can be good or bad. But at the end of the day, you got to respect them to a certain degree and try to stay out of their way if they're not doing it from the good side of things. You know, if they're stealing or if they're scamming people or if they're trying to harm people in the process of coming up, then you stay out of their way, you avoid them. And if you are in a position to where you can do good, then you do good. You know, I've been so blessed, man. Even in my lowest, I'll tell you this small story just kind of as an ending. When I was going through this divorce, I spent every bit of savings I had, almost $26,000.
Yeah, courts cost a lot of money.
I was fucking broke. We went to Aldi's. I had $6. That's all I had, $6. I was getting a green pepper and an onion to make spaghetti. Broke ass spaghetti. Didn't have no meat for it. We had spaghetti sauce, some noodles. I was trying to put some green pepper and onion in it just to give it a little bit of flavor. My son wanted ice cream. I didn't really have money for it. But you know what? This kid, this whole divorce, and even up till now, has never complained. He's never given me a hard time. He's never thrown a temper tantrum or cried or anything. And I thought, let's get the ice cream, bro. I'll figure it out. I don't know how. I'll figure it out.
It's crazy. That's what men are supposed to do. Every day, you got to go through some struggle and figure out how you're going to make it work, how you're going to pay for it. A lot of men were told in your scenario, but you didn't. That's what
nobody knew while we were standing there that I was literally going to spend $2 for this green pepper and onion and $3 for his ice cream. That was my last $6. I was going home with change in my pocket. No idea how I was going to get more gas. No idea how I was going to pay anything going forward. And as we're standing there, this woman in front of me pays for her groceries. She goes to walk away and she stops and she turns around and she walks back to me. And she says, "Sir, can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Absolutely. What's up?" She said, "The Lord has put it on my heart to pay for your groceries today. Will you allow me to do that?" And I was just like, yeah, I would love that. There was nobody in the world that knew that I only had $6 in my pocket. This woman, I didn't know her. I'd never seen this woman. Nothing was said to her. She didn't know that I had my last $6. Now, to a lot of people, what is $6? Maybe it didn't mean anything to her. But at that instant, that little bit of humanity, man, is what kept me going forward. Because she didn't have to do that. And she could have just walked away, completely ignored whatever calling she felt she had at that moment. But it's people like that every single day when I wake up. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm lacking in belief, if I'm just hating people all around, I remember her. And I remember that, you know what? There are good people in the world. There are people worth fighting for. There are people worth trying for. And they're the ones that keep me going every single day. So never give up hope. Never believe that the world is all bad, because there are good people out here, man. Sadly, the news is showing you 100 times more of the bad ones than the good ones. But the good ones, they're out here. I see them every day donating to St. Jude's, the Special Olympics, donating to homeless shelters, giving, for whatever reason. I don't give a shit what their motivation is. You see these YouTube stars, they're going out, they're giving money to homeless. Oh, they're only doing it for views. Who gives a shit? They're out there helping somebody.
Yeah, I don't agree with like filming it, but that person should matter more because they need to help. You know,
at the end of the day, I don't agree with filming it either. But you know what? Here's the thing. Those views generate money that they can turn around and give back. That's what Mr. Beast does. The whole process of Mr. Beast is a lot of his videos are ridiculous, but they generate money for him to do, like where he went into the grocery store and bought the entire grocery store, loaded it up into 17 U-Haul trucks, and then took it to a food bank and donated it. $78,000 worth of groceries. Hey, I'm okay with that. Film away. Because
also a good thing about it is that it shows people in the world, because there's so much negativity as far as what the media has been showing people, like you said earlier in the show. It shows people that at least there is good in the world. There was a black guy that earlier last month, because it was Christmas time, there was a black kid playing his trumpet just to get money on the street corner. Not he's poor or anything, but he's just playing for money. People do that thing in your area of the world. They play on. Yeah. Black guy came up to him, gave him the PS5 he wanted. And people were like, man, why is he filming? He should have did it off camera. But it shows people that there is good people in the world.
Who cares whether they're filming it or not? The fact that they've done something generous.
A black person, black people get vilified as a lot of bad things because media too.
Everyone does. You know, when Mr. Beast went to Africa and was building the water wells and was building the thing for the tribes. Oh, he's just doing it for publicity. He's just doing it. Who gives a fuck? Are you going to Africa and building water wells for people that don't have fresh water? Are you going to Africa and donating food? Are you going anywhere and doing anything for your society? No? Then shut the fuck up. Because until you do, you have no room to talk shit about another person that is doing it. Sometimes some people talk about it, some people do it. You know, in the words of my great grandma, I can show you better than I can tell you. It's that simple. You know, you can talk about it or you can do it. Some people do it. Some people have that privilege. And sometimes, you know, you can talk shit about Bill Gates. I don't like Bill Gates. I don't agree with him on much of anything.
Yeah, because he's a wackadoo.
You know,
mentally deranged.
You know, every year, his charity, blah blah blah, and yes, I know
with Andrew Tate. I know a lot of people don't like Andrew Tate, but he gives money, millions of dollars to charity,
exactly,
to help kids who have nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
And if you're not doing it, I don't give a fuck what your reasoning is. Look, I'm broke. I'm on disability for this injury right here. I had a 1/2-inch chain snap when I was a truck driver. It hit me in the forehead. 86 stitches to close the wound. Forced me to retire. I can no longer drive truck. Not allowed under federal guidelines because I've suffered a brain injury, and federal law says once you've suffered a brain injury, you can have a seizure at any time, blah, blah, blah. Dumbest shit ever. I can't drive a semi-bus, or I can't drive a semi-truck, but I can drive a school bus. I have a Class B commercial license. I can drive a school bus full of children, but I can't drive a semi with only me in it. Your government in action. Anywho, I get $971 a month. That's what I survive on. I support 3 people on $971 a month. I donate every month to a homeless shelter here. Because in 1991, when I came home from the Army, I got an apartment with a friend at the time. It turned out that that friend was a pedophile. I absolutely will not live with, be around, or associate with a pedophile. I left immediately. I took my backpack. I walked out of the house. I had nowhere to go. I was going to sleep on a sidewalk. And I fell asleep on a bench. And a cop come through there and said, hey, what are you doing? And I told him, I'm homeless. I don't have anywhere to go. If you want me to move, I'll move. He goes, well, go down to the shelter here. My town, small town, but they have a homeless shelter where you can literally live there. They will help you get a job, all of that. That place took me in the middle of January, in the cold, gave me a meal, set me straight, got my resume set up, got me a job. I've been good ever since. I have never forgotten that. So even in months when I get $971, I have to pay this much in rent, this much in water, this much in light. I make damn sure that $50 of my money goes to the interfaith shelter, because I have never forgotten that I would have froze to death sleeping on a park bench in January had it not been for them taking me in at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, I would have been just another veteran that was homeless with no job. God knows where I would be without that place. And I have not forgotten it. So if I got to give up McDonald's, if I got to give up a little bit of gas for my car, if I got to walk a couple places because I'm low on gas and I got to walk or take the bus, I'm okay with it. Because I would rather that money go for them to be able to help somebody else like me than to have that money for other stuff, you know. And God has blessed me, you know, whatever your view of the world is, whether you pray or don't, whether you're religious or not, I'm going to say God has blessed me 1,000 times over. Anytime I've ever been down and I needed something, it has come through for me. So you get what you put into the world. You put good into the world, you'll get good back. You put negativity into the world, you'll get negativity back. Misery loves company. So you can wallow in misery, or you can put on your big boy pants. You can man up, and you can be the change. You know, change ain't going to come to you for free. You got to get out there, get your hands dirty, get your feet wet, get your knees dirty. You know what I mean? That may sound bad, but you got to work for it, man. Nothing comes for free. Everything has a price tag attached.
And I'm old. My back hurts now.
I'm saying, though, everything, you know.
What's up, Robert? How you doing, man? We're about to wrap it up here in a little bit. I'll have to think I want to ask you, which is, first thing, do you have anything planned coming up in 2025 you want to let the audience know about?
I have new camera equipment coming as soon as it's here. We are going to press this YouTube hard. We're going to get back into the podcast thing for the Noise Report. I have interviews lined up with about half a dozen people now over the next month that we're going to be putting out with famous musicians, some movie people. I have an interview lined up. It's a second interview. We're going to be interviewing Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma, who, you know, if you don't know Lloyd Kaufman, then he's done Class of Nukem High. He's done Toxic Avenger. He's done dozens of terrible movies that are so bad they're good. But we're going to talk to him a second time. I've got some other famous people coming up. We're going to press that. I've got an internet radio show now called the Motor City Glam Slam, where I play hair metal galore. If you're into Motley Crue, Dawkins, Bon Jovi, LA Guns, Guns N' Roses, Cinderella, any of that kind of stuff from the 80s and the 90s. I played 2 hours of that every Sunday. WildDogsRadio.com. And I'm also going to be starting, I haven't announced it yet, but I'm going to be starting my own social media company, to where if you're looking for a social media manager, somebody to, handle your email, or to get you booked on other shows, to book your band for tours, to manage your band. I got 35 years of experience. We're going to set up a small company, start with a couple people, and we're just going to build, man. And you're going to see my ugly face everywhere. We're going to put all this musical knowledge that this will be one of the first bands. This will be one of the first bands that we work with. This is my friend's band. This is one of the bands that I play on. As you see their picture, this is one of the bands I play on Motor City Glam Slam. But you know, I'm open to everybody. I do hip hop, I do rock, I do reggae, jazz, blues. I can talk about Patti LaBelle as much as I can talk.
That's what I tell people, man, is 2025, because, you know, like, as you know this more than anyone, life can literally be over at the snap of a finger. Make every year, even if you just had this revelation this year from last year, make every month count. Make every year count. Every moment. Because we don't have much time in the world. As you know, we're already old. We ain't got much time left. You got to make some time. Let's make it happen. You can leave the mark in the world, music, whether it's in movies, I don't care what it is, make something happen. One got a lot of time left.
Even if your dream isn't as grand as that, if you're the low-key guy, here's what you do. Never go to bed without telling your children you love them. Never go to sleep without telling your parents, if you're so blessed to still have your parents, call them up. Just talk to them. Doesn't have to be about anything. Just say, hey, I was thinking about you. Thank you for everything you did for me. I can't say that to my dad. I don't have that honor because I can't tolerate a racist any more than I can tolerate a pedophile now. And unfortunately, I can't speak to my father for that very reason. But I take care of my mother now, full-time caretaker for her. And there's not a day goes by that I don't tell my mom, thank you for bringing me into this world. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for paying half of these bills because I couldn't make it on my own. $971 doesn't go very far.
Not in this economy.
So she has her little bit of money she gets, and we split it 50-50. And I'm thankful for that. I have toys upon toys, and but I don't let a day go by that I don't say thank you and I love you, because some people never hear that. Some parents never get that respect. Some kids never get that respect. Brothers, sisters, whatever. If you're blessed with a family that maybe you don't have a family, or you don't have a brother, you don't have a sister, somebody like that, then I'm sorry. I don't mean it in that way, but if you're one of the fortunate ones that do have children, if you do have parents, don't underestimate the power of that. Because like you just said, life, it's fleeting, man. I have friends who literally are here today and gone. We just lost, me and a group of our friends, we just lost a very good friend. We spoke to him that very day about booking his tour. He was this summer, he was going to tour all over. We spoke for 3 hours about this tour, about what his band was going to do. And he said, hey, I'm going to take my wife out to dinner. And they went out to dinner with her two friends. And on the way home, drunk driver sideswiped him, forced him into a tree, and they burned alive on New Year's Eve. Life is like that. 1 minute they're here, 3 hours later, wiped off the earth. Never get to talk to this man again. His wife, their friends, brothers lost, daughters lost, sisters lost. 1 minute they're here, 1 minute they're gone. And that is life. You don't know when you're going to go. So just have respect for it, man. And just the bottom line, I mean, this whole thing in a nutshell, this is how I end every show. Be well, treat each other with kindness, and remember that music heals. At the end of the day, music is always there for you to heal you. Be kind. Just be a good person. That's all you got. It's not that hard. It is so much easier to love someone than it is to hate someone. And it took me that's a really hard lesson to learn. For so many years, I wanted to hate everybody. I wanted to hate them for reasons that I'm so ashamed of now. I think back on it, on all the energy that I lost, all the time that I lost, hating people over shit that I was taught, that so stupid. And I'd give anything to take it back, but I can't. So what I can do is, going forward, I can be kind, and I can say, hey, I don't agree with you, but you know what? You do you. It's that simple, bro. Like, I don't have to agree with you, but you do you. You be a good person, and God bless you. It's that simple, man. It's just do good. Put good into the world, because you don't know. Just like me standing in that grocery store line. That woman could have chose any other person. She could have done any other thing. But she put good into the world. And I'll guarantee you she was rewarded for that later. And I'll never forget her. The day that I die, that will be one of my final memories. Is that woman wasn't just an act of kindness to me. It was an act of kindness to my child. She paid for his ice cream. And little things, it matters. It really does, man. People, you don't know what somebody's going through. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what their day has been. You don't know what they faced, what adversity they faced. And maybe that hello, maybe that smile, maybe that little act of kindness. If you're standing in line and the woman in front of you is struggling and they're a few dollars short, pull that couple of dollars out, man. Because I'll guarantee you that's coming back tenfold. I'll guarantee it, man. I would bet my life on it. I've never once not seen a person rewarded for doing good or for giving to charity. I'm a living example, man. Like I said, I've been blessed over and over and over.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to ask you is, do you have any shout outs you want to give to anyone in particular and any other closing thoughts or statements before we end the show?
Man, he's a history teacher. One person that I've never thanked. I'll keep it to one person. He lives in Los Angeles. He was a history teacher at LA Unified Schools. His name is Robert Griffin. When I moved to California at 13 with my mother, he lived next door. And I was a fucked up, mixed up kid with really crazy views on the world. And he was a black man living next door. And I had all of these thoughts of the man who lives next door. He's a drug dealer, or he's this, and all this shit that my dad taught me. And this man took me into his home. He taught me how to play chess. He taught me about Malcolm X. And it literally, that was the moment in my life when I read that autobiography of Malcolm X, sitting there speaking to him. And he's very much a Lawrence Fishburne type of character in real life. And he later, when Boys in the Hood come out, and I saw Lawrence Fishburne's portrayal in Boys in the Hood, I immediately thought of Robert, because that's very much the type of person that Robert was. Is he took this white kid from next door into his home, and he taught me chess, and he taught me about Malcolm X, and he taught me that the world was not black and white, that there were a lot of shades, and that there were people in the world that were not what I had been taught. And when I went back to Michigan, I went back with fresh eyes. I went back with a new respect for life. I went back with a new version of me. And I've never got to say thank you to him. I've never got to say thank you for not telling me to fuck off or get the hell off his porch. Because I said some really nasty shit to him the first time I met him. And he not only didn't kick my ass when he had every right to, he turned it into a teaching moment. And like I said, in a very Lawrence Fishburne, Morgan Freeman type of way, he changed my life. And if I ever had the chance to meet him, I know he retired recently. I found him on Facebook, but he never replied back. I don't know if he even remembers who I am, to be honest. But if I ever had the chance to come out to California to meet him, that's absolutely what I would say is thank you for everything you did, man. You literally changed my life. That one defining, or those few defining moments in a period of like a month. That's how long I was out there.
Yeah.
It made me a totally different person. It made me into who I am today, essentially. I would have gone back to Michigan, continuing to be the ignorant person that I was, being the closed-minded person that I was. It was only because he didn't kick the crap out of me. And again, he had every right to, because I I think about it now, and I absolutely abhor that little dickhead that I was at that moment, and the stuff that I said to him was so far beyond the pale that no human should ever be spoken to like that. But I didn't know any better because it was only what I had been taught, and I'm so thankful. I've never forgotten him ever. Like he just, so by some chance, if he ever sees this, or if he hears this, or it's somebody who may know him, his name is Robert Griffin. He was a history teacher at the LA Unified School District. Wonderful man, and had one of the greatest record collections I'll ever see, man. He had vinyl of Lakeside and George Clinton and Funkadelic, and he had one of the greatest funk collections I've ever had the honor of knowing. And he would play while we were playing chess. He would play like George Clinton. He would play like Funkadelic. He would play like Lakeside, Patti LaBelle, Bobby Blue Bland. Again, just artists that I adore now because of him. That was the first time I had ever heard Patti LaBelle sing. And, I was raised on Southern rock and country. So when he put that Patti LaBelle record on and I heard that voice, it was just immediately like, wait a minute, hold up. I ain't never heard nobody sing like that. Like, that was a voice that was the voice of God to me, like hearing Patti sing, man, it was such authority, such power. Yeah, that's the person. That's the person I would thank first and foremost above anyone else. This is the one person I've never got to thank or never had the pleasure of meeting again or, seeing.
Yeah, it's always those one-time interactions that kind of, have that long lasting effect, which is good,
Yeah, it was multiple. We had condos, side by side condos. But like I said some really nasty out of pocket shit, and I deserved to have my ass kicked. And I really did, bro. Like if somebody said the things to me that I said to him, oh yeah, I'd kick them down the street like a soccer ball, bro. Without doubt. So I make no bones about it, and the fact that I think about it now and I cry because I abhor who I was at that time, man. And the fact that he had the gentleness, he had the peace of mind, he had the patience to turn that into a teaching moment so that I could be a better person. That's the mark of a true man. That's the mark of because anyone can use violence against violence. But when you do what he did, when you educate someone, that is more powerful than anything in the world, man. And yeah, Robert Griffin, wherever you are, God bless you, sir. You're an amazing man, and thank you for the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah,
saved my life.
It was great having Mr. Music God CJ on for the first time. Can't wait to have you on again later on this year. You a second appearance. It was great talking to you, man. And just want to say thank you to every single person that watched the show, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. No, what? Nah, whatever. I'll just give you $1,000. I'm kidding. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show, and we will see you guys later. Have a great weekend, everybody.